Hi, I'm Greg.
And I'm Leanne. Welcome to the Empowered Poly Podcast,
where we give you the tools to help you feel more empowered
in your polyamorous and consensually non-monogamous relationships,
sharing what we've learned as relationship coaches and as individuals.
Empowered Poly is LGBTQ plus, alternative lifestyle, and kink friendly.
Thank you for joining us
and enjoy the show. Hi, and welcome to the Empowered Poly Podcast and our episode, number 50. Number 50, 50. Oh my
Number
goodness.
50. 50 episodes, hey? I don't know. Big deal. Yeah. I think that feels like a big deal.
I think so too. Anyway.
Pat us on the back
about?
if you ever see us out in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just ask first because consent is important.
True.
And I don't like to be touched. So never mind. Just ignore that completely.
God. So what is this number 50 episode about? It is about what is so bad about unicorn hunting.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the weeds. Here we go.
Right. That's right. We're getting controversial. Provocative here.
Are we? We'll find out. We haven't written anything down for this. So.
Oh, this is all off the top of our head. First thing in the morning. This will be fun.
Yeah, right? I literally just woke up.
Yeah, she did, folks. And look at that. Look how beautiful she looks. Well, for those of you that can see.
Yeah, I don't roll out of bed looking like this.
Yeah, you do. All right. So what is so bad about unicorn hunting? That is the question that is on the table. So let's start by defining what unicorn hunting is. Yeah?
Yes. We love a good definition.
Yeah. So do we want to look a definition up or just wing it?
Let's wing it. We know what it is.
All right. So I think...
Want me to do it?
No, I can do it.
Oh, okay.
No, I got it.
You do it and I'll fix it.
I can. Yeah, that's true. That's probably what's going to happen. Yeah. So unicorn hunting is typically when a male and a female cisgendered couple, with the female being bisexual, will actively seek out another woman to have as part of their relationship. Often it's referred to as adding a third or adding somebody to our relationship. And typically that woman that they're looking for is bisexual and will date and be in a relationship with both people in the couple. Right?
Correct. Yes.
Did I miss anything?
I just want to add.
No, of course you do.
That it can be other genders. In the community, people will refer to men in this position as dragons. So dragon hunting. I think that's silly because, unicorns can be any gender.
I was going to say, are unicorns gendered? I didn't think so. I thought they're mythical fucking creatures.
So I think it's just that sort of toxic masculinity showing up in this community going, I don't want to be called a unicorn. I'd rather be called a dragon, another mythical creature.
Right.
You want to be called a unicorn?
Yeah. I mean, if I was that, if I was so inclined to do that, yeah, I would want to be called a unicorn too. Look at me, I'm so pretty. I'm a unicorn.
Right? I'm going to add that it doesn't have to necessarily be a cis couple, could be non-binary participants in this as well, or gender fluid people or trans folks. So it does kind of happen in all communities. I think it's most common, like you said, in the cis heteronormative couple, the presenting hetero couple with the bisexual female to participate in this, but it's not female. It's not restricted to that.
No, that's fair. Thank you. Yeah. So that's kind of the definition. So basically it's where a couple, an pre-existing couple, will go out looking for or hunting for this mythical creature, this person, this woman who is interested in and is able to and willing to have a relationship, an intimate sexual relationship with both partners at the same time. Yeah.
So this can extend from like just sex, it's like a play partner, all the way over to a fully realized relationship dynamic where maybe they even want to add that person into their relationship, like you said, maybe
Hmm.
even wanting to move in together, um,
Hmm.
with this sort of idea in mind. And that to me is like dynamic seeking, right? When you're going out and you're kind of you've got an idea in mind of the end game.
Why is dynamic seeking problematic?
Well, it can be problematic in that you're maybe not communicating that up front, right? Uh, Out of the gate. It's important to let people know what is on your mind. It can be
Hmm.
problematic if you're coercing or pushing an agenda that other people are not open to
Hmm.
and trying to manipulate them into that. Right.
Right.
I've worked with clients who have been in that situation where their partner was very focused on, I would really like my other partner to move in with us and be part of our family. And they were not open to that. They were open to maybe this end of the spectrum where it's a sexual relationship with all three of them, but not the fully realized moving in together KTP dynamic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I think it also speaks to couples privilege,
Oh,
couple
yeah.
privilege, right? So maybe we talk a little bit about that, right?
Yeah.
So there's an inherent in the existing relationship between, yeah, so in the existing couple relationship, there are there's a rhythm, there's a unique rhythm to that relationship that already exists.
Mhm.
Yes, right.
Yes.
There are already agreements in place. There's a history in place typically,
Mhm.
and this is something that they most likely have talked about often, or
Mhm.
at least thought about a lot. Whether they've actually been able to communicate that or not to one another is a different story. There is an inherent power imbalance that can happen when you have somebody else coming into an existing relationship. It's almost like you have a house, right? And you
Mhm.
have that foundation, right? That house, the house, the existing house has been built on that foundation, right? And now what you want to do is you just want to tack on a porch,
Mm.
or you just want to tack on an extra bedroom onto the side of the house. And you want to just kind of, you don't really want to mess with the foundation at all, right? But
Mhm.
what you want to do is you actually want to just tack on an addition to the house without worrying about structure, without worrying about how that is going to impact the existing structure and foundation of the relationship, right?
Right.
So
Or the
that's
needs of the new room.
exactly. Yeah, what are the needs of the new room? What needs to go into the new room? What's the new room going to look like? What's the new room going to feel like? What's the new room, right? All of this other stuff, right? There are so many things to take into consideration that
Mhm.
are often overlooked. And so, as the title of this, what's so bad about unicorn hunting? Well, that's one of the things that's kind of bad about it. And that's one of the things that a lot of people overlook is this concept of this person is a whole ass human being that you're
Mm.
inviting into this relationship. And they have wants and needs that are separate and different than yours, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And how do you integrate those into the relationship while also helping that person feel respected, loved, cared for, and nurtured?
That's a great question. How do you do that? Can you do that? Is that even possible? So, in the community, there are people that would say all unicorn hunting is toxic. And there are people who would say, hey, I'm a unicorn. I want to be hunted
Mhm.
and everything in between. So I guess, as coaches, we really do want to address what you just asked. How can you
Integrate.
incorporate or integrate, or is that the goal? Maybe that's the
I think,
question.
yeah, I think that is a good question. And that's a conversation that you need to have is
Yeah.
what is the goal here? What is the desired outcome of this exploration, right?
honestly, right?
honestly. And you need to
Hmm.
have that conversation honestly.
And
And
over
not
and over
only with
again, probably.
not only with with each other, but also with anybody that you're interested in I hate the term bringing into your relationship. I don't know, it just leaves me with a yucky feeling in my stomach.
Well, let's
Um
just say any new partner.
yeah, and that's the conversation that you need to have with any new partner, that what is the goal here? What are we trying to accomplish? What's our desired outcome, right?
So, okay, if you're asking that question, what is the desired outcome? Is that the same as dynamic seeking?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
No, I mean, I don't think so. Do you?
I think it's an honest revelation about what's on your mind, what's your preference, but it's not necessarily prescriptive.
Dynamic seeking is what that is it has to be this way or nothing.
Right.
Whereas
Yeah.
having these conversations about your ideal and what that would look like,
Hmm.
it's basically, in a perfect world, right? We ask that question all the time in our work. In a perfect world, you woke up tomorrow, everything was solved, all your problems were solved. What would that look like,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That's a good question to ask, because that's a starting place. It's it's not going to look that way. It's
Well, it
not, you're not
might.
going to get, you're not, well, but you're not going to get, don't go in expecting that that's what's going to happen. You're not going to
Hmm.
get everything that you want.
Right.
It's just not the way relationships work, right? And if you do think that's the way relationships work, well, that's another conversation that you need to have. Is because
Yeah.
if you are looking to get everything that you want, then I don't really think you're ready to be in a relationship, because
Mm.
any kind, like, this is a little sidebar here, but of any kind, because relationships are about compromise. Relationships are about meeting each other where you are. And sometimes that means that you might have to be willing to, I hate the word sacrifice, but you might have to be willing to
Compromise.
to
I like
uh,
compromise better.
compromise. Yeah, compromise. So I think the same thing holds true here with unicorn hunting. And I think that's where it becomes problematic, is it's like this rigid wall, right? And we're going to cut a little tiny hole in it so that this potential new partner can just walk into that little hole, and now they become a part of us.
It's like assimilation, assimilation.
Assimilation, assimilation as opposed to integration. But notice how
Resistance
I
is
said that.
futile.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, the
Hmm.
Borg, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You'll think like us.
They
You'll want the same things that we want. You'll be sexual with both of us. You'll fall in love with both of us if that's
that's
what
that's
the,
you'll fall in love with both of us,
yeah.
right? Right. We'll deal with everything together. It's just another form of monogamy,
And
really,
codependency.
and codependency, frankly,
Mhm.
right? And that's the other piece
Often
to
there
this
is that
too.
monogamous rule in terms of like we're going to be a closed dynamic too, right? We don't
Mhm.
want this new person to go out and date other people. They should be happy with just the two of us. That's another problematic rule that is imposed on the new partner often.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And so have we answered the question of how to integrate?
No, not really.
No, I think
So I think the other question is that even possible if you're doing this in a healthy way? Integration, ugh, what sort of integration are we talking about? Assimilation?
no,
No. We're
no.
talking about uh like you said, meeting each other where we're at and honestly, authentically connecting.
So, as an example, integration as opposed to assimilation could look like this this new potential partner that you
Mhm.
and your spouse or your existing partner have met, right? They get the vibes and they're cool with everything, and then a couple of months down the road, they start to recognize, wait a minute here, my feelings are actually a little different than I anticipated they would be, right? Or
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
instead of actually wanting to have a full-on relationship with both people, I actually kind of want to, you know, have kind of relationship with one person and another kind of relationship with the other. So assimilation would be like, no, you have to, it's all or nothing. You have to do it our way or the highway, right?
Mhm.
And that's when it
Mhm.
becomes problematic. Integration looks like, oh, okay, We're going to treat each person as whole as human beings here. And we're going to
Mm.
break down each relationship as it needs to be so that we can create a loving and satisfying experience for everybody within the unique connections here, right? There's seven total relationships within a triad, right?
Do you
We'll
want me to
list
walk
them.
you through them?
Yeah, walk me through them because I can't remember them all right now.
Okay, so there's the one that gets the most attention, which is the three of you, right?
Yeah.
And that's the we're going to do everything together, right? Approach. When you focus here. And what we're saying as coaches is there's those dyadic relationships beyond that. So
Yep.
there's A and B, B and C, C and A, right? So there's
Mhm.
those four relationships, the three of you, and then each dyadic relationship. And then each relationship that you have with yourself, which really is where people drop the ball. We tend to, whenever we're in a relationship, kind of immerse ourselves in it and forget about our own hobbies, friends, family members, and ignore all of the rest of our life.
Mhm.
And as coaches, we're often working with people to really get in touch with that part of themselves. So there's three other independent, singular relationships that need time, energy, and resources,
And
right?
that's
So
the
each
relationship with
person,
self.
that's right.
Yeah, and that's how we come to the seven.
That's
All right,
right.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you
So
bet.
yeah, so each one of those seven relationships needs to be nurtured and treated as a unique separate thing,
Yeah.
right? And so the problem becomes when you're trying to assimilate is that you are placing rules and restrictions on somebody's behavior or their ability to be able to relate in the way that works best for them, right?
Hmm.
And that's the problem. That's where it becomes problematic. Well, that's one of the problems, but that's where it becomes problematic is my way or the highway kind of philosophy. And I don't think anybody ever intentionally says that. Like
No.
but I think it sounds oftentimes like, well, what about me? Or well, you're going to have a great sexual relationship with that person and I'm just going to be their friend. That's not what I want. I want to be sexual with them too because I find them attractive. And here's a bit of triangulation that can happen, right? So
Right.
the other partner, whoever's feeling left out, will then try to coerce the partner to get the other partner to actually like them more or bring them
Hmm.
in or get them to have sex with them, manipulate them, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Invite them back into that threesome situation. And yeah.
that's all problematic behavior, right?
Yep.
And I think that's where things go sideways quite often.
Quite often. That's the sexual component. And then there's the love component, right? My feelings have
Yeah.
changed. I didn't actually fall in love with both of you. Maybe I didn't fall in love with either of you. Maybe I fell in love with one of you, but not the other. Maybe I was in love with you initially, and now my feelings have changed about you, and my feelings are more strong for the other person. That's a really challenging experience as well, right? And so, anyone who is engaging in uh, a triad, which is usually, I always say it's best formed from an organic place, meaning you're dating someone, they meet your partner, they hit it off, they want to hang out too. Great. Um, Everybody's kind of on board with that. And over time, feelings develop, right? Or attraction develops rather than this, let's go out and find ourselves a unicorn.
Right. And that's what the unicorn hunting is what, a couple presents themselves and yeah, we're looking for our wonderful and beautiful third,
Yes.
you know? So you've
Yeah.
already established priority. You've already established relevance in the relationship by referring to somebody as a third. And good luck to you if you find somebody who is willing or wants to be or is okay with being that third. Like, that's fantastic. Just be honest about it, which is the other part of this that I think is often overlooked,
Hmm.
right? Is
Yeah.
people aren't able or willing to be honest about what they want. If you're like, my ideal situation is to have a relationship with two women who also have a sexual relationship with each other. That's what I want. If you're saying anything other than that to any potential new partners, then you are misleading them.
Mm-hmm.
If you are saying things like, ah, well, you don't have to have a relationship with my partner, but it would be nice, while in your head, you're thinking, that's really what I want. Ultimately, that's what I want. If you're saying anything other than that, then frankly, you're misleading them and not being completely transparent with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're setting up an expectation based upon what you want, what you need that is unspoken.
Mm-hmm.
And that will always lead to hurt and pain and challenge down the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason that people do that though is because they are afraid. They are afraid that the numbers are so limited, the options are so limited that they have to take advantage of every single little scrap that comes along, even if there's just the hint of interest,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? And so they have to glob onto everything and manipulate it in such a way that it actually works until such time as invariably it doesn't. Inevitably, it doesn't work, right?
I also want to talk about the bait and switch, which is I'm on the dating apps as a femme person, and I attract another femme person, and I say, I really like you, I want to date you, we hit it off, we start dating, and then I push my agenda. And that agenda is, I really want you to meet my other partner. My other partner wants to meet you, and I hope you hit it off. And underneath all of that is, I hope that we can all be sexual together. I hope that you all, you fall in love with them too. And I hope that we can all move in together eventually. So that's the bait and switch technique. And that is terrible to do to somebody. Please don't do that. If you are, like you said, honest and transparent from the get, I mean, I would address, why are you dynamic seeking in the first place as your coach, right? Rather than organically allowing these relationships to form and morph and develop at their own pace in their own way. That would be something I would work with anybody on. But if you are out there dynamic seeking, please be honest about it and say, this is what I'm looking for, you know?
As you were talking, something came up for me was, and I mentioned that I touched on this earlier. Essentially, when you are bait and switching or when you are dynamic seeking, you are essentially coming from a monogamous mindset, an entangled, codependent mindset,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Tell me
It's
more.
just it's monogamy with more people, right? Because what you're saying is that we are a unit, right? So we are one, and we're looking for another one,
Mm,
right? We're one. The two of us are actually one. We're a unit, right? And we're looking for another one to come in to our unit, right? So that's how it seems to me to be just another manipulation of monogamy, right? And then there's also the disentangling work that needs to be done, which is the single most skipped step when monogamous couples are opening up to
truly.
any sort of non-monogamy, whether that's polyamory or swinging, whatever, doesn't matter. It's the single most skipped step, which luckily for you, we actually have a course on $47 US. We'll post the link in the
Description.
description, and we highly recommend that you take it. The point is that it's basically just another way to be monogamous because you're still trying to protect the unit. You're still trying to prioritize the unit,
So
right?
I want to address that. Can we get into hierarchy a little bit?
Yeah, of course we can.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So protecting the unit is hierarchy and couple privilege. Prioritization, I think, is okay for certain things like children, elders, pets, home, career, that kind of protection in terms of like,
Financial
hey,
responsibilities.
let's make sure we meet those responsibilities as we are opening up our relationship. And we've talked about that in our other podcast about opening up. If you're curious, check it out. Um, we also have one called Tips for Newbies. So when we're talking about that, getting into a relationship with somebody who has that primary partner, that established relationship that is going to be prioritized, I think it's okay as long as you know what the limitations are and what you're comfortable with, what you need.
Right.
Same with being a unicorn. I've been a unicorn.
Yeah.
Um, it can be fun to be, the shiny new thing
Mhm.
that zhuzhes up a relationship for a bit, sexually or even emotionally. Um, and it's interesting as long as you're aware of the limitations and what it is that you actually need and what you won't be able to access through this particular arrangement. You need that clarity, right? That's what we're talking about, transparency and clarity.
And it's ongoing. It's not just a one and
Ongoing.
done. It's not just a
Yes.
one and done conversation. It's
Because it
ongoing. It's
changes.
constant. It does. It does.
Yeah.
Right. It does change. Right. Which leads me to another part of this that we want to talk about, and that is veto power, which is
Hmm.
part of hierarchy and I think is incredibly problematic. Right.
Hmm.
So I also, before I touch on veto power, though, I want to go back to hierarchy just for a second.
Okay.
So I want to explain something, the difference between hierarchy and prioritization. So for me, hierarchy is a default. That means that I am always going to default to what is best for the unit,
Hmm.
always, right? No matter how it impacts the other partner,
Right.
right? I'm always going to default to the couple centric unit, no matter how it impacts the partner, right? So in other words, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do everything I can to protect the existing relationship,
Hmm.
right?
At the cost
So
of the other.
at the cost of the other relationship.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So how is that different than prioritizing? Well, prioritizing says, okay, so I have two partners and they both want me to do something on a specific day. Right. One of my partners is an existing relationship. We've been together for 10 years. The other partner is a relationship that I've had for 3 years. But both of these people want me to do something on the same day. Both of them have imparted upon me how important it is for me to be a part of that. Right. In a hierarchical situation, I would always default to the primary, quote unquote, 10-year relationship. Always, no matter how it impacted the 3-year relationship,
Mm.
right? In a prioritized relationship, guess who I'm prioritizing? Myself,
Right.
me. What do I want to do? What am I more interested in doing?
Hmm.
What so maybe one's a play and the other's a Ren fair. I don't know. Like what do I want to experience on that day? What do I feel more drawn to want to experience, right? Right?
Well, and
So
you also
it's
have
not
other
about
things that you could take into consideration, right?
sure. Yeah, I mean there's other components, right? But in this particular case, in a black and white scenario where all things being equal, I'm going to remove who the thing is about, who the thing is with. And I'm going to focus on what do I want to do? Do I want to go see a play or do I want to go to a Ren fair?
Yes, I
Right.
get
So
it.
it's not about the partnership. It's about what
Yeah.
I want. Now, there are other components at play. Let's say that 3-year relationship. Maybe we've had some struggles recently. Maybe we've had some issues or challenges, right? Or maybe that 10-year relationship. Maybe we've had some struggles or some issues or some challenges. So I might need to nurture that relationship a little bit more for a period of time, which means that I might actually end up going to the play even though I'd really love to go to the Ren Fair. But the point is that I am making that decision for me because it's best for me,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? That's to
Yeah.
me the difference between hierarchy and priority, right?
I have one little thing, one little tweak
Of
on
course you
that,
do. Absolutely. Yeah,
which is you said all things being equal. No such thing.
that's
No
fair.
such thing.
There's always
Right?
components that are uneven. So okay,
Yeah.
so all things being equitable. How about that?
Well, so that each person has up until this point felt they're getting enough time to meet their needs with you, they feel nurtured by you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But then
The,
those
the, the,
also become the components that, as you just said, that you would consider in making that decision,
exactly. And
right?
it's also some people make some people can make decisions about who do I want to disappoint less. I'm guilty of that sometimes. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. I'm like, I think it would be easier to disappoint this person than this person,
Mhm.
which means from an emotional labor standpoint, I probably don't have the capacity to be able to manage the blowback and disappointing one person versus another. And that's all fine. That's
It's
all
actually quite
prioritization.
fair. Yeah, it's actually quite fair because that's about, your own peace of mind.
Right.
And, this applies to all relationships, by the by. It's not just intimate romantic relationships. Like I'm listening to you talk and I'm thinking about, family and how I've really altered my interactions with my mom as enmeshed as we are. Um, and I love her to pieces. She loves me to pieces. We like to spend time together, but also I have lots of other responsibilities that I have to prioritize. And when I am in that prioritization focus over away from her, she has been very good about receiving that in recent years. And in past years, not so much. She was raised in a time when boundaries were rude. And I was kind of raised that way myself because that's what she knew, right? Um, and boundaries on, time and effort and, energy. Why aren't you able to? Why, you have to explain your no. Now she'll hear a no and she'll say, okay, no problem. And she's done great work. She's 80, by the way. Everybody can do this work. And so
Yes.
we've been
Never too
doing
late.
this disentangling work ourselves too, very slowly and over lots of years. And that it's a process. It's an unlearning process, right?
Right.
And it depends on where
Yeah.
you're at in life too. Like, are you sick and feeling really, weepy and
Mhm.
needy? I've been there. I
Hmm.
need people to show up for me in that case sometimes, just to
Yeah.
feel the love at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So ultimately the point is that hierarchy is a default state of prioritization, whereas prioritization is taking accountability and responsibility for the needs of each person in any given situation, and then also
Mhm.
making a choice based upon what you actually want to do, as opposed to what you feel compelled, obligated to do because of
Yeah.
the existing relationship status.
You don't want to be that person who shows up for somebody who is in need of your time, energy, and love. And you're there out of obligation and you're pissed about it and resentful. And, that grumpiness just kind of it seeps into the relationship anyway, affects it anyway, even if subconsciously. Yeah.
The thought something just came up.
Yeah.
So back to unicorn hunting, right?
Yeah.
So think about that from if you are an existing couple and you are
Yeah.
looking for a new partner for your relationship, think about what she just said.
Mm.
Do you want somebody showing up for both of you from a place of resentment or obligation?
Mhm.
Is that really what you want? Because I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying it can happen. And it can happen in a very sneaky way. It can happen in a very, very unconscious way,
Yeah.
right? Because of the lack of transparency and awareness that you might have around how your existing unit structure is impacting this other person,
Hmm.
right?
For sure.
Right. So just be aware of that, right? And so that's the other reason that unicorn hunting, can be problematic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is the how does this other person, like, how do they have different feelings for different people,
Yeah.
and why that needs to be okay, right? They need to
It
be able to show
absolutely
up
does.
authentically and not from a place of obligation. You know what? If I'm having sex with that person, that means I have to have sex with that person. Oh my God, yuck, fuck,
Yeah.
right? Why? Why?
First of
Get
all,
your
nobody
get your
owes anybody sex ever.
yeah, and get your ego and your expectations in check,
Yeah.
right? You know,
Hmm.
really, seriously. I mean, right? So the other part to this too that I want to touch on, and I actually didn't come back to veto power, so I'm going to do that now, actually. So veto power. So what is veto power? Veto power is when one partner can veto the activities of another and say, "No, I don't want you doing that," or you do that. Yeah, so I no, I don't want you doing that, or no, you can't do that. That's the language that typically happens. Is and sometimes it's not quite as direct. Sometimes it's a little bit sort of more passive aggressive in that, yeah, I don't really want you doing that. I don't think I'd feel safe with that, right?
Mm,
Yeah, as opposed to actually kind of doing your work, and saying, hey, I understand that you're an autonomous human being and you can do what you want, right? And then maybe setting a boundary instead of trying to manipulate and control,
which would sound like,
which would sound like, hey, if you do X, then I'm going to do Y.
yeah,
Right
yeah.
now, some
Or
people might say, well, how's
I don't want that kind of relationship, right? Like
yeah,
that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah,
right. And some people might say, well, how's that different than veto? Because you're basically trying to manipulate that person into not doing X. That's not true. If it's a true boundary, there is
yeah,
no intent to manipulate. There's hope, right? There's hope that maybe they won't do that because of the impact it will have on you. There's
yeah,
hope because you're sharing something vulnerable and saying, you know what, you doing that is really scary for me, right?
yeah,
Right? Is there a way that we can meet in the middle here temporarily? Because that's really
right.
what a boundary is. You're telling this person, this is where I am, and can you meet me here right now? Right? That's
Hmm.
really ultimately what a boundary is. Veto is control. Veto is you can't do that. I won't let you do that. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
That's veto. Veto is an attempt to control somebody else's behavior.
And it's also giving your power away, your sovereignty, your autonomy, right? You're giving your power to that other person to decide for you. And sometimes I think people like that because they can then dodge responsibility.
Sure, throw their partner under the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't do
yeah,
that because they won't let me,
yeah. Oh my
right?
God, yeah. And
Yeah.
I used to say it. I was there. I did it.
Yep.
I said it.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't do that. I can't kiss you because my wife doesn't like it. I have
Yeah.
actually said those fucking words, and I can't believe it, but I have.
But that wasn't me,
No, it wasn't her. It was a
to be
previous
clear.
relationship. But I can't kiss you because my wife doesn't want me to. Right?
Hmm.
I can't kiss you because my wife said that's not okay. Right?
And you were in an
Instead of,
open relationship. Let's be
and I'm
clear
in an
about that.
open relationship,
Yeah.
instead of saying, I don't want to kiss you because it doesn't feel right to me right now. And
Or
the
I'm not
reasons it doesn't,
comfortable with that.
or I'm not comfortable with that, or whatever, the
Mhm.
reasons for my discomfort are completely fucking irrelevant.
Right.
Right? And I don't owe that to anybody. Right?
Right.
So going back to unicorn hunting, if you're upfront and transparent about something and you're giving people the opportunity to come into this relationship with informed consent,
Hmm.
and you tell them that you have an arrangement where veto power is at play, and they still decide to come into the relationship, well, that's still really problematic in my opinion, and I think you need to work on the veto power. But technically you've kind of covered the bases. um,
Mm, yeah.
what I would suggest as a coach, though, is that instead of actively looking for somebody else to come into your relationship while you're still in a place where you need veto power, I would encourage you to do the work of getting to a place where veto power isn't necessary
Yeah.
in
Do
order
that
for both of you to
disentangling.
feel safe, right?
Hmm.
Because ultimately veto power is about codependency,
Yeah.
right? Right? It's about the ability. You're basically telling your partner, I don't want you to do that because I can't manage my own shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, but you are. That's exactly what you're saying when you say, I don't want you to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Right? There have been so many things that not so many, there have been a lot of things that my partners have done that have sent me sideways. And they've been hurtful and they've created a lot of mental and emotional challenge for me to manage through.
Yeah.
But I would never, ever tell them that they can't do that. Ever. That's just not that's something that I've worked my out of my language. I just
Mm.
don't ever want to be the person who's telling somebody else what they can or can't do. Number one, because I'm lazy fuck. I don't want to be that responsible. I don't. I don't
For them. You
for
want to be
them. I don't.
responsible for yourself though.
Oh, sure, most of the time. But I mean, yeah, but I don't want to have the additional responsibility of having to make decisions for other people about what's okay and what's not okay for them. That's not my place.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel equitable to me.
Not anymore. There
So
was a time in your life where you
that
wanted that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
but then it didn't feel equitable though. That's the point.
Mhm.
Is that
It
I
was
just
the
didn't know
point.
that. I just
Yeah.
didn't know that. And that's why everything kept blowing up in my face, is because it wasn't
Yeah.
actually what I wanted. It
Mhm.
wasn't actually who I wanted to be. I was trying to fit myself into a box that I thought other people needed me to be in so that I could stay safe,
Mhm.
instead of advocating for what I wanted and saying, no, I'm not comfortable with that. And if you do that, then I'm going to do this.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to address something that came up for me. When you're in that state of being the new partner and you are entering into a relationship with two people, and they are that primary relationship or established relationship, um, there's the pressure doesn't always come from them. It can be internalized pressure. It can be pressure from yourself. It can be fear of loss. It can be fear of loss of that other person's love, attention, their relationship, their friendship, even. If you're honest with them about your feelings changing or not developing as you hoped they would. You can also, if you move in together, have a fear of loss of housing, even financial support, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's really that power inequity is embedded often in this kind of relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
then also there can be a fear of punishment, right? Where if I'm honest about my feelings, they're going to hate on me, they're going to make my life difficult, they're going to be angry, hurtful, etc. Maybe there's evidence for that. Maybe you've seen them behave that way towards other people that they didn't like. Or maybe there's no evidence for that and that's just your own trauma telling stories. Or maybe somewhere in the middle. There might be some evidence and some past trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just stuck in this place of, I've got to show up in this way to please my two partners equally. That's my job. Right. And the intense pressure of that is overwhelming. And I say this because I want people to understand often unicorn hunters will say, this has worked out great. We're in a great relationship with our third. They're very understanding of their place. They know that we're the primary partnership. They've agreed to not have any outside partners. They have agreed to our schedule. They've agreed to even move in and help take care of our house and our kids. And then a few months in, they are not even aware that that person, that new partner, is struggling hard because they're so afraid of loss. So I
Mm-hmm.
just want to bring that to the front because there's a lot of assumptions in this situation, often about how well it's going. And that new partner may or may not be able to feel safe enough to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great point. Great point.
Especially if
Fantastic
there's
point.
any history of trauma,
Yeah.
or sometimes even if there's a BDSM dynamic, DS
Mm-hmm.
dynamic, and they're submissive. Um, I've worked with a number of people in this particular situation, and that is
Mm-hmm.
a really hard, stuck place to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think that also applies to the existing couple.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
one or the other of you is feeling
Yes.
a sense of obligation to go along with this,
Yes, very much.
check yourself. And I know that there are so many, and I know for a fact that there are so many different components and reasons and influences that can force us to make decisions that we're not necessarily completely comfortable with.
Yeah.
I get that. I know that feeling of being trapped. I know that feeling of being in a vulnerable position to where you don't feel like you actually do have a choice. I know that. I know that feeling intimately.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard sometimes. And if you find yourself in a position where you are with someone who is forcing you to do this and not giving you the opportunity to make a choice that's authentic to who you are, then I would really consider an exit strategy.
Yeah.
I would. I
And do
would
that
really consider
safely,
and do it
right?
safely, of course, but I would really consider an exit strategy. If you find yourself in a vulnerable position and this isn't really something that you want to do, this isn't really something for you, and you're not comfortable with it, but you can't say that aloud because of
Yeah.
fear of harm for your children, for yourself, financial repercussions, whatever it is, then I
Hmm.
would really encourage you to safely make an exit plan, reach out to local resources, and
Yeah,
I'm saying this because this is a reality, right? We do
for
see this.
sure.
We have heard this from clients where they were like, I didn't think I had a choice. If I didn't do what he said, he was going to fucking flip out and hit me, right?
Yeah.
Or even, he was going to, he would make my life miserable for weeks afterwards by being grumpy and passive aggressive and all this other stuff. Or
Yeah.
she would lash out and threaten to take the kids away from me, right?
Yeah.
Or, move into with her mom and whatever, right? So it does happen. It does
Yeah.
happen. And we need to acknowledge it. But let me tell
Yeah.
you right now that if you are doing that, and you are one of the people that is doing that, you're one of the people that is maybe unconsciously manipulating somebody, and stop. Just take a beat, just take a breath for a second and just listen to your heart. Do you really, really, really want somebody to do something because you're forcing them to do it? Right? Do you?
Yeah.
And that includes your partner, and that includes anybody that comes into the relationship.
Yeah.
There was a time in my life where I could not relate to somebody unless I felt a sense of control, no matter how illusory it was. There was a
Hmm.
time in my life where I could not have an intimate relationship with somebody without that false sense of control. And I recognized that, and I had to step away from all of the activities that would put me in a situation where that kind of dynamic would present itself.
Hmm.
Right? Because I recognize that that's not actually who I want to be. I don't believe it. Like, even
Yeah.
now when somebody says, I ask somebody to do something and they do it for me, I'm still like, are they doing it because they want to, or are they doing it because they just want to do it for me? Is it authentic? Like, there's just this whole narrative that plays out because it's become so paramount to me that my partners and the people in my life show up as themselves authentically.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
ultimately what we're talking about here is if you want to have a triad, fantastic, that's great. If you want to have a quad, fantastic, that's great. Just do it authentically. Just be real with yourself, with your and with your other partners or potential partners.
And allow them that as well. Make it safe. Make it safe. One of the things that people don't realize is how coercive reactivity can be, repetitive requests, right? If your partner is reluctant, for example, to have a new partner move in, and you just keep asking, keep asking, keep asking, that's a strategy that children use. Wear them down, you know, and
Yep.
it works sometimes, and that's really unfortunate. And I want to also talk about self-advocacy. This is a really important piece of this. If you don't feel like you can advocate for yourself in a relationship, get the help you need to get there. That's the only way to have a healthy relationship, because you may be feeling all those different feelings. Things have changed. I'm building resentment. I don't want to do this. Whatever. If you're not able to speak them, and it's not because you're fearful of punishment or, serious repercussions, like you were saying earlier, if it's not because of that, it can be something that you've just not learned to do yet. And that's an
Mm.
important part of healthy relating. And
Yep.
one of the things that, if you get that from somebody, one of the things that you've taught me is to say, thank you. Thank you for being honest with me. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Thank you for being authentic. I appreciate that more than I, am uncomfortable. Like it's okay that I'm uncomfortable with this response. I'll work on managing my feelings around it. What's more important to me is that you're able to come to me with those things. That's
Yeah.
what healthy relationships look like.
Yeah. I think that's probably the single biggest um, fear that I have is that my partners won't be able to come to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's happened in my life with other relationships, not necessarily partner relationships, but other relationships with other people. And it creates a deep sense of sadness to me,
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
that that's where those relationships are.
And we don't
Um,
even realize, right? We don't even
no,
realize sometimes that they're not advocating for themselves. If we don't hear anything from them, we assume everything is good. If we
right,
see this performative happiness, well, everything's fine then, right?
right.
Often. You might have some like hints or, gut feeling about, oh, that didn't seem real, or is that accurate? Have the conversations, ask the questions, try to elicit those answers. And when you get them, as painful as it is, don't react to them because that reactivity can be scary, right? It can be the thing that they're trying to avoid, frankly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I think one other thing that we need to touch on more specifically is boundaries,
Okay. We also have a
right?
podcast on that, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And check it out. Boundaries as it relates to unicorn hunting,
Hmm.
right? So some of the boundaries that you might put in place when you're the existing couple might be, and these are discussions that you want to have, right? These are agreements that you want to come to based upon any boundaries or needs that might come up, right? And so you
Hmm.
might have this conversation about boundaries, needs, and agreements before you actually start any sort of search, right?
Yeah.
And that could look like, hey, look, if you and the new partner fall in love with one another, then I don't want to be privy to all of that lovey-dovey ness. So that means that I might not want to see it, right?
So I might need to go parallel,
I might need to go more parallel, right? Especially if
right?
they're not falling in love with me too, right? So I might need to create some separation there, right?
Yeah.
You don't know that necessarily until you get into it, of course. A lot of this
Yeah.
stuff is ongoing, but there are certain things that you can guess at. What are my needs in a
Yeah.
relationship? Start there, right? What do I need in a relationship in order to feel safe,
Yeah.
right? Do I need exclusivity in a relationship in order to feel safe? Because if I do, then I this is not a good road for me to be going down. Not a good road at all. Do I need do I
Unless I'm going to
need
say there's some curiosity about, pushing your own boundaries, wanting to do that,
yeah,
exploring that. Like
right.
there can be those conditional yeses where it's like, I would like to try this and I would also like to be able to pull back if I'm not feeling it. If you are feeling it, you're an autonomous person. You need to make decisions for yourself.
That's right. Keep going, right? And then also you say to yourself, I don't want to manipulate my partner into giving up a relationship just because I don't feel comfortable with it. Right? Is
Hmm.
that something that you are willing to do if you find yourself in that position? Because
Yeah.
you don't know, maybe you will,
Yeah.
right? And so these
And
are all conversations that I think you need to have
yeah.
before you even start quote unquote searching,
Yeah.
right?
And I would back off on the searching, hunting mentality anyway and allow things to happen more organically.
Of course, yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
that. But if you're intent on doing it that way, if
Yes.
you're intent on actually wanting to go out as a unit to look for another person to come into your relationship, if that's your intention and you think we're full of shit, if you take nothing else from that, I'm serious, if you take
Yeah.
nothing else from this, at least have those conversations up front
Yeah. And be
before
honest
you,
with the people that you're meeting with,
yes,
the,
and that's
the
the
new
other part of
people.
this. They also have boundaries. They also have needs boundaries and they will have agreements.
Mhm.
And they will have requests that lead to agreements, and those agreements need to be honored and kept, and everybody needs to take responsibility for their role in honoring those agreements, right?
Yeah.
And one of the agreements I think that we have as human beings is to be as honest and transparent as we can within a given situation, right? And so I think that looks like,
Yeah.
hey, look, we're in this together. This is we are a unit. We're a couple. We know that people think it's problematic. We know all of this, et cetera, et cetera. We're willing to acknowledge that. We're willing to do the work, right? Right.
Yeah.
And all of that's really important. One other thing that just came to mind is sneakyarchy. Have you heard of this term?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what you were talking about, the bait and switch,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's one way for sneakyarchy to come into play, right? Is through the
That's
bait
the
and
hidden
switch.
hierarchy. Yeah.
That's the hidden hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes you don't know the hierarchy is at play until
Yeah.
it's there. And so you're like, oh shit, right? Well, what can you do about that? Well, the first thing I would suggest is you hire a coach, us, not kidding, hire a
Yeah.
coach to help hire somebody, find somebody, a community resource, something that will outside the relationship that will help you get clarity around how your actions are impacting your relationships negatively. Okay. How your
Mhm.
thoughts, your beliefs, your patterns, your adaptive strategies, all of those things have impacted your relationships and whether or not that continues to serve you in the way that you need it to.
Yeah.
Right. That's the work of being in a healthy relationship. Right.
Yes, 100%. I also want to touch on too, I am in a relationship with somebody who has hierarchy, long distance relationship. Their wife is their primary. They have agreed that there is no veto. Now, I take that as an indication of intent, but not necessarily an indication of how things will play out, given any circumstances that come up where it's really uncomfortable for his spouse. So I recognize that sneaky archy exists, that intent is great. People come into these situations with good intentions often, and circumstances change. I leave room for people to be human beings. And I think a lot of times when we agree to something, we think that that is set in stone, that's not going to change. And I think one of the takeaways of this podcast is things do change. All good intentions aside, somebody even entering in as the new person might find you both very hot, very attractive, wonderful people. And still their feelings morph, change, they grow, they experience other things, they want to explore other things. They, have other needs that you can't meet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I think the most important thing is to remember that we're all human beings figuring this out as we go, keep the relationship, uh, kind of communicative and uh, address continually those conversations, revisit those agreements, ask how it's going, invite advocacy, support advocacy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. So what I think I hear you saying is that you're saying that if you are the unicorn, right? Or you are in a relationship with somebody that you know is in a hierarchical relationship, just be aware that there are certain things that even though they might try their best, might still impact you negatively. You know,
100%.
you know. So you just have to kind of, take responsibility for that agreement that you're in this relationship and that there could be potential risks
Yeah.
inherent in that. And it's probably not personal. It's probably not directed at you,
No.
but it it will impact you for sure
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a positively negative or hurtful way, right?
Yeah. And I
And
I'm
that's
I
the nature of
recognize that
relating.
if she were to say, something that Leanne did really upset me, I really don't want you to be partners with her anymore, he'd probably agree. You know, that's veto. And he said that that is not their agreement. I believe that that's not their agreement, but I also know agreements can change, right?
Right, right.
So keeping my feet firmly planted on the ground in reality, I recognize people are humans.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Have we covered everything?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Date separately, do the work of disentangling, 7
Hmm.
relationships, organic. Um, if you
Veto,
have to, if you
coercion.
must hunt, then do it in a transparent way. Be
Hmm.
honest up front with people. Don't do the bait and switch. If you are the person who's being hunted, the unicorn, ask
Hmm.
all a shit ton of questions, all
Yeah. Get
kinds
as
of
much
questions,
clarity as you can.
right? Get as much clarity as you can so that you're walking into that with your eyes as wide open as you possibly can. And
Yeah.
also understand that shit is going to happen.
Yeah.
And
Things will
it's not
change.
always intentional. It's not always meant to be hurtful, but sometimes it just does, right?
Yeah.
And so allow for that nuance in relating, because frankly, that's part of the risk of relating. If
Yeah.
everything was smooth and easy and you knew it was going to be smooth and easy, I promise you, most of us would be bored out of our fucking skulls,
Yeah.
right? Right. So just
Yeah.
understand that the risk of a relationship ending or the risk of hurt is part of what makes it valuable,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Can't have the light without the dark.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't need to live in the dark, but
No,
we need to
no.
recognize it exists.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
So dynamic seeking, we talked about communication, consent, rules, veto, couple
Mhm.
privilege, I guess. Yeah. So that's everything, right?
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah. So I just want to end with one thing really quick. I think there are better, healthier, and more effective ways to connect than unicorn hunting. I think it is problematic at its roots for the
Mhm.
reasons that we've discussed today.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't want anybody listening to this to think that there's even a part of me that agrees with the concept or the structure, because I don't. However, I also know, as somebody who has engaged in it in the past, that my level of awareness around healthy relating is very different now than it used to be. And
Mhm.
my hope is that the people that are considering doing this will do the work so that they can find a healthier and more effective and more loving way to relate to the people in their lives
Yeah.
that doesn't require you to be attached to somebody else doing it when doing it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as somebody who's been a unicorn myself and also unicorn hunted, um, I would say, involving that person in the agreement making and the conversations around anything that impacts them directly is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge. It's a great
So,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, just be kind. I think we're going to
Choose
end there
love,
anyways,
be
aren't we?
kind. Well,
So
yeah, yeah.
we should
Just
wrap
treat them
up.
like a whole ass human being, right? They're not your object. They're not
Right.
they're not your play toy. Or maybe they are. Maybe that's your thing. But be honest about it. Talk about it, you
That's right.
know? Figure it out together as opposed to trying to impose something on someone.
Right.
Let them make a decision as to whether or not they want to be your sex toy.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Okay. And if they choose not to anymore, then that's fine too.
Right. And also hire a sex worker if that's what you want. Or,
Yes,
look for play
true.
partners that are looking for play partners.
Mm-hmm. It's
Hmm.
true. It's true. Okay.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
got to go.
Yes, we got to go.
Okay.
Happy birthday to
To
us.
us, yes,
Send us a
50.
comment if you've been liking what we've been doing and you want us to keep going. We love
I'm
the
just
encouragement.
curious. I'm just curious. If you're listening to this and you made it this far and you're listening to this and you have listened to all 50 episodes of
Ooh,
our podcast, I would love to hear from you. Even if you've skipped around or bounced around, that's fine, whatever. But have you, I just want to hear. I just want to know if there's any person out there that's done that. And if so, just so you know, I am incredibly grateful for you. And I'm
very.
incredibly honored and a little sort of kind of out of sorts about it, frankly, because it's just weird to me that somebody would listen to my fucking ass talk that much
Please share with other people as well that might benefit from this, and that helps get the word out about us.
All right.
Lots of love. And remember,
Choose love
and keep it kind.
We'd love to hear your comments, questions, or topic suggestions. Don't forget to subscribe.
And you're invited to join our Facebook group, Empowered Poly Relationship Support.
You can reach out to us on our websites, GrayMillion.com,
LeanneMillion.com,
and EmpoweredPoly.ca,
where you can check out our courses
and find more information.
And follow us on our socials.
Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Yeah, nobody's going to listen to this anyway.
Why did we even bother?
Right?